Yeah. Welcome, everybody, to the Creative Bias Podcast. We'd like to welcome our loyal listener and welcome any new listeners that we've got here in the year
Hey
2026.
yo.
Hey, yo, we've got a bunch of new stuff. This is our first episode of 2026, and we've got a lot of things planned for 2026. And I want to talk about them at the top before we get into what this episode is going to be about. So, we're going to have two flavors of episodes this year. We'll have a couple of longer form, maybe not investigations, but like longer form episodes about topics that we want to go deep on. So, for instance, we're going to have an episode coming up about the intersection of creativity and addiction, which is a wildly rich topic to talk about because those two things tend to get intertwined. And there's a lot of mythology about addiction and as it relates to creativity. And so we want to do a long form episode of that, which we are working on. But in the meantime, every week, starting this week and every Monday, we're introducing a new feature to the Creative Bias podcast that we have nicknamed
Creative Bias Shawtys.
Shawtys. we were going to
so
call it creative. We were gonna call it Creative Bias Shorts, but it just seemed like it was an opportunity to say Shawties, and you should always, when you are given the opportunity to say that, say that. So Shawties will be, and please, if I'm mispronouncing that, maybe correct me, Darla, but I think Shawty. So Creative Bias Shawties are going to be like 30 to 35 minutes episodes every Monday where we're reacting to things that happen in the world of creativity, executions, research, articles that we've read, work in the field of creativity, psychology as it relates to creativity, and our reactions to those things happening in real time to deliver real-time news that you can use and real tips onto how to activate your creativity in practical, beneficial, satisfying, magical ways. So welcome to the first installment of Creative Bias Shawties. Anything you want to add to that, Dee?
No, I was just scared that you were going to, it was going to rhyme and you were going to rhyme something with tips. And I was like, where are we going? I think Shawties are just going to be whatever's interesting to us for the week that we think you guys might be interested in too.
I agree. And maybe you'll think it's useful and interesting, and maybe you won't. And then you'll tell us that by not listening, and then we'll come up with a different thing to do. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I would like to open the first episode of Creative Shawties with a question for you, my friend. We just finished a year. I don't know if you heard, but it was recently New Year's.
Oh, shit. It's been a whole year since I talked to you.
A whole year. And there's lots of fun gimmicks that happen towards the end of the year. You'll get like trend forecasts. You'll get what was the best movie of 2025, stuff like that. But I think everybody's favorite thing, and it definitely hasn't turned into a joke, is Spotify Wrapped. And my question for you is, do you have Spotify? And if you do, what is your Spotify listening age?
So those are a couple of questions. A funny thing is, I actually am a recent convert to Spotify because I was iTunes only, as a good millennial would be.
Yes.
Because like my entire music library from when you used to have to buy music.
Yep.
Was there, but I finally let it go, I think like a year or two ago. So I do have Spotify.
Okay.
I did get my Spotify Wrapped.
Yep.
They obviously added some new data points, which I don't think any of us needed the math on.
No, we weren't asking. We didn't ask.
No one. No one needed that.
Thank you for making me feel basic. Spotify is the first thing I would like to say. But did you do the Spotify age thing? And is it something you're excited to share, or is it something that like you're like,
I am, but I'm more I'm more curious to know what you think I got. Like if I skewed old or young
That is
or my age.
that's a fantastic question. I first of all don't know how old you are. I assume you're just ageless. I would
Fact.
say that your listening age is significantly younger than your chronological age.
You would be absolutely correct.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I feel like anyone who knows me, that's probably not surprising. I just think it's funny because I think of myself like, I think if you took the age of my Apple Music, it wouldn't be the same
Yep.
because obviously Spotify only has the data for what I've been listening to the last
Mm-hmm.
couple of years,
Yeah.
whereas Apple has the data for everything I've been listening to my entire fucking life, and
Right.
that can go from the Rat Pack real
Mm-hmm.
quick
Yep.
to Bad Bunny, you know what I mean?
Right.
Wide
Right.
range.
Very
But,
much so. Yeah.
or, Dashboard Confessional, if we're getting emo.
Right.
But yeah, it's 21. I'm a tender 21.
There you go. I feel like they do it, and then I'm going to tell you why I asked you that question. But I feel like they do
Okay.
it as a way to make you feel good about yourself. So it's like does anyone get, oh my God, boomer? No, I don't think you
So
get that on
no,
Spotify.
you're wrong. So many people
Really?
on my team at work got like in the 70s. Like they're
What are they
76 years
listening
old,
to?
74 years old. Fucked if I
Sinatra?
know,
All
obviously. I don't
because
know.
I feel like in the history of music, it was Beethoven, and that was all you could listen to, and then there was Sinatra, and that was all you could listen to, and then
Right.
everything that we listen to now. That's and I might be oversimplifying.
I don't I really don't know. I genuinely don't know. The only thing I could think of is like maybe if you listen to like the Beatles or like Hendrix or
Yeah.
like
Are people
old
still
rock,
doing that?
like I guess.
Just seems so tired. Anyhow, no offense to the Beatles or Hendrix, who are icons, amazing, and no one cares
Right.
what I have to say about them. But the whole reason I asked you that question is because I was reading this week, and I stumbled across an article in Psychology Today that was talking about a study that was done and reported in Nature magazine that basically says that creativity, engaging in creative activity,
Mhm.
makes your brain literally younger and keeps your brain younger. They did a not a survey. They did a study of 1,400 people who had some level of engagement with music, visual arts, dance, and gaming. Shout out to the gamers.
Okay.
And people with more creative engagement. So not like are they good at it, but just more time spent engaging in creative activities had a larger delta between their chronological age and their brain age. So like their brains were way younger than they should have been given their chronological age. Um,
Interesting.
yeah. And there
I
was
feel
a
like
line. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I feel like the gaming part of it actually surprises me a bit because to me, I think of that as being like escapist or escapism.
I think that's fair, but I think the thing with gaming is it's problem solving, right? It's like figuring your way through an environment, solving different
Mm,
puzzles or trying to find different things. It's like the kind of games that I hate is I'm going to guess what the kind of games that are the best for your brain. Like I like a
mhm,
game where you just run around and shoot things, but I think the kind of games that I don't like but lots of people do is where you're like you have to craft a thing and you have to find the pieces to craft it and roam around and waste a ton of time doing a lot of boring stuff. But I
mhm,
think that and because there was this line in the article, which is what initially grabbed me because it's like really this thing that you and I are on about at Creative Bias, where we talk about creativity as a muscle. And the line
right.
was creative work trains the brain the way exercise trains the body, right? And so I think that's like dead
Mhm,
on for what we're talking about. And specifically, it helps people pay better attention to the world around them. It helps people be better planners. It helps people with motor coordination. And if you think about specifically like playing a musical instrument or dancing, where you have to learn like the first part is I got to learn what I'm supposed to do. I got to play a C sharp and then I got to play an F and then or whatever. Or I have to do like a 2-step here and then I turn around and then I do a 4-box or whatever. I don't know. So
Right.
it's like you have to learn, and that's like the mental thing. And then you have to translate the thing you learn into a thing like that your body has to do through movement. And
Right.
so it helps with motor coordination. It helps with flexible thinking and resilience. So, like, hugely important, wonderful qualities that we all, I think, could use more of are direct benefits of engaging in creative stuff. And I thought that was like super encouraging for what we're all about.
Yeah. I mean, essentially it's like muscle memory that you're
Yeah,
building
right.
by whatever creative avenue you're practicing.
I love that you use the term muscle memory because my wife is a physical therapist and she always
Oh.
kind of like rolls her eyes when I use the term muscle memory because she's like, well, muscles don't have brains, so they don't have memories. So actually, what it is it's neuroplasticity is what muscle memory is. It's your
Right.
brain rewiring itself to um, operate and execute commands in a certain order with nuance and then translate all of that into your limbs and develop a motor plan so you can execute whatever the thing is you're supposed to do. So, for our listeners, the takeaway here, the get is build a creative habit. And it doesn't have to be something you're super good at and it doesn't have to be something you're going to commit tons and tons of time to. Like, do it every day for 10 minutes. Paint, draw, learn an instrument, dance, do martial arts, do yoga. Um, because they say one of the most powerful parts of it is mixing pure creativity and movement. Um, and then another thing they say is protect your creative time the way you protect your gym time. Like if you're a person who's into fitness
Mm,
and longevity and you
mm,
go to the gym, like I know me, like it, anything that will stop me from going to the gym on a regular basis is not going to be part of my life. Like I just can't put up with something like that because it's that important to me. So same thing with creativity and build it and turn it into a habit and it'll pay you back because
for
your
sure.
brain will be young.
And it's also transferable to other things.
Say more on that.
I think even just of simple problem solving, right? Whether you're problem solving in gaming or like at work or in social situations, like you pick up tools that you find parallels to other things. Like
Absolutely.
perfect example or probably most prominent for me is like I didn't realize it until became a coach, but a lot of the stuff that I have to do for project management is exactly what you're doing with when you're managing clients and what their
Totally.
goals are.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good point. Um, and so I love this idea of like build a habit, and I kind of think that's going to be a theme on this shouty on
Mhm.
on this episode because speaking of habits, um, people might not know this. I think you were the person who told me you gave this thing a name, but we are now on the back end of what's called Quitters Weekend. And do you want to tell people what Quitters Weekend is all about?
Yes. Well, so essentially, people who collect data,
Like
or the
Spotify.
machines, yeah, the machines that collect data, again, finding math no one needed is like, what's the exact day everyone loses their will to live every year after setting their New Year's
Uh,
resolution? And then National Quitters Day was invented. And this year it happened on Friday, January 10th.
yep.
And the whole premise behind that is that that's when people typically abandon their New
Yeah.
Year's resolutions because that's when like motivation starts to fade. So it's typically the second Friday
Yeah.
of
And I
the new
think I
year.
read that it's like 80% of New Year's resolutions are abandoned by the second weekend in January, which how do they know? Maybe. But also, I mean, it's plausible. I believe it. I believe it. I think you see like a surge at the gym and it's like maybe a week. And then you're like, oh, where's that person that was here last week? There, I'm never going to see them again. Well, I guess the question with it is like, because I'm sure that some of the people who are listening to this podcast are like, I've got a resolution that I made and I'm like trying to stick it out. I'm trying to make it work. Um, I could say the same thing. I made some I'm not usually like a big New Year's resolution guy, but I made some this year and I'm like, yeah, I gotta see
Okay.
these things through. And 2 weeks seems insane to get rid of them. Um, and so I was thinking like, how do you hold yourself accountable to like do the things and make the changes that you say you're going to, that you've told yourself are important to you to make?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is something that like comes up not only in resolutions, but in our experience as coaches. Like it's very easy to have a coaching session with someone and have a breakthrough or get to the bottom of whatever the issue is. And then you go, okay, so you want to do this? Great. So he put a plan together, do A, B, and C, and like come back in a couple of weeks and we'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest frustration for me, and this happens in consulting as well, you talk to a client and you're like, okay, here's a plan for what you should do. And then they just don't do it. And like a coaching dynamic, the same thing happens. You're like, so, okay, so we've agreed that this is what you want to do. But the behavior is the hardest thing to do.
Right. When we're
And
not there to like hold up
right.
the mirror every day. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, but it drives me crazy because I am a person who like, I want results for the time I invest, the money people invest in me to help them.
Mm.
So I think a lot about like, what is it that gets in the way? And
Mm.
then that led me to another article that I read this week about how willpower is like the biggest trap and the biggest fake me out, like valued thing in the world because it's so hard to exercise willpower. And
Mm.
instead, what people have found is that people who successfully adopt new behaviors and new habits, it's not because they've got some incredible amount of willpower. And the story that's in the article that always sticks with me is the writer David Sedaris was like talking about how he uh, he would smoke a lot of pot because when he lived in New York, he could go on an app and find a student from NYU or whatever who would like deliver the weed to his house. And he
Mm-hmm.
was like, I knew it was a
Just
problem.
outed him.
Yeah, exactly. It
I
was in
think
the
he probably
Atlantic.
did too. And yeah, I'm sure he outed
Yeah.
himself.
But he said then he moved to Japan and he almost instantly stopped smoking weed because he
Mm.
didn't like the app didn't exist there. And that made me think about like the time where I pulled way back on the amount of weed I was consuming was I went to Taiwan last year. And
Okay.
you go to Taiwan, you're not bringing gummies with you. You're not buying them there. So for the time I was in Taiwan, it was a hard reset.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is called, even though like in those two examples, it wasn't intentional, it's called situational scaffolding. And so
Interesting.
basically, if you want to change a habit in your life, don't rely on willpower. Design your environment, build up supports that help the new behavior. So, for instance, like let's pick an easy one. You want to quit smoking. Quitting smoking is incredibly hard, right? Like nicotine is the most addictive substance in the world.
100%.
So the way you quit smoking is you don't like, I'm going to put the cigarettes and the lighter on the other side of the room and I'm just going to dare myself not to go over there. Now, like for some people, maybe people who are in like the Army Rangers or whatever, they can do that. But most people, you're going to fail. You're going to have a moment of weakness, grab the cigarette, and the habit will just pick itself back up. But what you do is you go, okay, so we're going to throw all the lighters away, all the ashtrays away, and we're going to throw the cigarettes out. So we're not going to have any cigarettes in the house. But even that might not be enough of a scaffold. You might need to go to the guy at the corner store and be like, hey, look, if I come in here in a week and I'm like, dude, sell me a pack of cigarettes, don't. And I'm going to give you $100 not to ever sell me cigarettes again or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's situational scaffolding. And I think
Okay.
like that is the kind of thing that helps you achieve your goals, helps you achieve your habits. If you like build infrastructure elements around your life that helps you achieve goals. Example of this from the world of business is Shopify. So Shopify, like many other businesses a couple years ago, was like, we waste so much time in meetings. It's ridiculous. Like, so much time in meetings. So they had a piece of software scrape everybody's calendars, and any standing meeting that had more than 2 people in it, it just deleted them. And you had to wait 2 weeks before you could reschedule that standing meeting. And there might be some fluffery in this, but they then claimed, they were like, we freed up 322,000 hours of time for our entire workforce by getting rid of standing meetings. And that's a bit maybe of an extreme example, but like, we've all been in workplaces. I'm sure you
I
deal with this
mean,
all the time
I've
where
as
you
a
have
project manager, that
PM,
just
yeah,
made me want to like
jump out the
my head
window.
explode. Yeah, like this is what 2 people? Why are we even setting up a meeting for that? But I would.
Ah, and like, you can design the rules and design the scaffolds in whatever way works. But like, I worked at a company once, and I was like, on Monday morning at 8 a.m., I log onto a meeting. Those meetings end at 4:45 that day. And then I do that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then that's all I do. I just sit in meetings. And most
Mhm.
of them are status meetings. Most of them are recurring meetings where I'm listening to people give updates on stuff.
Mhm.
And I went to my boss and I said, we're dying. We're like, we can't do any thinking because we're always in meetings.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
goes, yeah, you're right. And I was like, so can we just like get rid of half of these meetings or something? And she was like, I don't know. And it never got any better. And so I think the thing is, like, you can make change, but it is hard. But you got to build the scaffolds. You can't just be like, well, maybe we should just be choiceful and think about every meeting on a case by case basis. And maybe you don't come to every one of them. No, you got to go hardcore. You got to build a piece of infrastructure in your calendar. Another good example of this is like, defeating silos in companies, right? They're like, oh, well, finance doesn't
Mm.
talk to creative, creative doesn't talk to
Mm. Oh yeah,
production.
I get rid of all that. Like we're all one
Right. And you
unit.
need war rooms. Like, one of
Yeah.
the examples of like getting rid of silos is just literally physically don't put people in separate locations. You
Mhm.
take the 3 people from the 3 departments that aren't communicating well, and you just go, you
Mhm.
guys all just sit in this office now.
They're
And you
all
all
on one
sit together.
floor.
You're
Yeah.
all, 2 feet away from each other, as opposed to like, you're on a different floor, or you're in a different building or whatever. So again, situational scaffolding is one of the most, I don't know, reliable ways, proven ways to
Yeah.
change a habit. So if you are struggling with a resolution and you're like, I feel like I can't go to the gym. I'm gonna eat another cookie. Like, throw the cookies out, dude. Like, throw the cookies out. Don't buy the cookies, because it's easier to exercise willpower to not buy the cookies than it is, once the cookies are in the house, to not eat the cookie.
Right. Like you're not
That
strong
might
enough
be
for that
personal
yet.
for me. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and
exactly.
I think to your point too, even the example that you gave with smoking, the reality is there are people who can have the thing that they're trying to like abstain from or like cut down in their face and
Mm-hmm.
have the willpower not to. Like I know people like that. These
Yep.
are people who don't have addictive personalities.
Yep.
Um but if you're a smoker, chances are you're not one of those people.
No.
So, yeah, and as you were talking too, I was like, where has this come up for me? And again, which for me is also some form of a dopamine addiction, is with
Yep.
food. And
Mm-hmm.
during COVID, I legit like developed a binge eating disorder because
Mm-hmm.
it was so easy to get food delivered
Yep.
to my house that I
Yeah.
was ordering Uber Eats breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And like when I couldn't decide what I wanted,
Yep.
sometimes it was whatever I wanted at my house all the time. And then when
Sushi
I
and ramen.
moved,
Yeah.
yeah, well now when I
Right.
moved to, well, yeah, because now you can like bundle shit together. Like it's terrible.
Right.
It's great and terrible. Um, but then when I moved to when I lived in Puerto Rico for that little bit,
Yeah.
they still had Uber Eats, but it wasn't as like
Frictionless.
well-oiled machine
Yeah.
as it is in New York City, right? It was like you ordered something and you were gonna wait an hour and you maybe
Yeah.
had like 10 choices, not 500.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
totally.
that was when I had decided when I moved there, I was like, we're not doing this anymore. Not only am I like hemorrhaging money, but
Mm-hmm.
this can't be healthy.
Totally.
And that worked.
Yeah, totally. And I think that maybe one of the things, as you were talking, I was thinking like maybe one of the things that does turbo boost willpower is context. So like I was
Mm.
never particularly diligent about wearing sunscreen, which I should be because I'm pale as a ghost. But one day I went to the dermatologist and they found that I had like a cancerous thing on my nose. So
Melanoma.
I had to have surgery on my nose.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine, it was whatever. But like
Mm-hmm.
now I'm pretty damn consistent about putting on sunscreen
Mm-hmm.
because you go, oh, the context changed. Now I know that bad things can happen and that like I do need to exercise willpower. But I also have built a scaffold, if I think about it, because I put the sunscreen right next to like my razor. So like if I shave in the morning or whatever, it's like right there. It's not like it's in a closet somewhere and I have to remember to go to that
Yeah,
closet.
it's just
Like
part of your
you
routine
make it
now.
part of the routine. And
Mm-hmm.
that is another technique called habit stacking. And habit stacking is another way, especially when you're looking at building a new habit, not getting rid of an old habit,
Mm-hmm.
is you attach the new thing that you want to do to something that you already do. Like, I want to meditate, but I don't have time to do that. Well, when you brush your teeth, you might. So if you're
Yeah.
brushing your teeth, maybe you could do a little meditation. Maybe
Yeah.
not a great example, but
No, I do that. It's similar but different. I do that with my coffee and vitamins in the morning.
yeah.
Like I started, I think, taking vitamins pretty like religiously over the last 2 years. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
2 years. Like, cause when I started going to school again, and I was around all the young kids, I'm like, what are the supplements these kids are taking? I need to stay like them. And it worked. Because now as I'm making my coffee, as I'm waiting for the water, I'll just like I'll
The
take the vitamins
supplements.
and I'm
Yeah,
done. Hmm.
that's great. Um, Anything else on willpower being a trap? Anything else on situational scaffolding?
No, just more on Quitter's Day in
Yeah.
general. Like I know you said you usually don't do resolutions.
Yeah.
I feel like I always used to do resolutions. I probably stopped doing that so much, particularly on this day. Um, I like to think of it as more just like having intentions in mind of like how I would like to feel that year
Yeah.
versus what I want to do.
I like that. Do you have an example of that?
Yeah. So 2022, that was the year I usually have like a word of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that word is meant to like encompass the energy that I'm trying to have that year.
Yeah.
And so 2022, funny enough, was abundance.
Okay.
And that was the year that a lot of shit changed in my life, like
Mm-hmm.
a lot,
Okay.
including leaving corporate.
Yep.
One year it was equanimity.
Okay.
Um, Equanimity is basically staying grounded in the face of conflict is essential.
Okay.
It's like building that skill.
Yeah.
Also, another very formative year of my
Interesting.
life
Okay.
where it was there was a lot of tests happening and I kept saying like this shit like this is always gonna like shit is always going to happen. I can't let it like send me into a tailspin every
Yes.
time. And the
Right.
only way to learn how to do that is to continuously be met with conflict and
Mm-hmm.
slowly figuring out your footing through that.
Totally.
And this year, my word for 2026 is whimsical because fuck it, I deserve a light year, bitch. I deserve to have a light, whimsical fucking year.
I love whimsical. I first of all, I love the word whimsical. Second of all, I love whimsy and things that are I don't want to say silly, but I want to say like joyous and playful
Yeah.
intentionally. Which by the way, this maybe is another episode, another shouty, but I want to
Hmm.
I at some point I think you're touching on something very interesting here when you talk about like having a word.
Mhm.
Um, I have been kind of like low-key obsessed with positive psychology over the last couple
Yes.
weeks.
Mhm.
And one of the things that they talk about is like the emotion wheel, or like naming
Mhm.
your emotions.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons for that is that people can think about and deal with their emotions much better when they have more precise words to
The naming.
describe their emotions. So
Mhm.
helping people like expand their emotional vocabulary is so like very valuable and important in how I've been thinking about things lately.
That's
So I
so
love
true.
it's so true.
I saved that PDF and I actually just shared it with a client recently. Uh, because what happens is we default to the easy
Totally.
emotions that we're taught, like literally as kids:
Totally.
sad, mad, glad, happy,
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like your emotions are so much more like when you're angry and it's from grief, it's very different than when
Mhm.
it's angry from like betrayal. You know what I So really, yes, I agree. The only other thing I will say about Quitter's Day that
Mhm.
to me is sort of funny, but it makes sense. And I feel like maybe it's girl math.
Mhm.
The way I think about it now, now that I know what Quitter's Day is like maybe if I start the day after Quitter's Day, or I pick a
Mhm.
day after Quitter's Day, and then that's the day I set my
Right.
intentions.
Yeah.
It's the same logic as like, well, I've never been married, so the stat to be divorced is behind me now. So I'm going to win either way. You know what I mean? That's the logic I'm applying here.
That's a very good framing technique. I love that.
Yes, that boat's already gone by.
Um So I think as we talk about like building habits, um, being creative, building creative habits, I want to talk about as sort of like the third piece of this creative shawty of ours, a habit worth building. Because you and I were kind of like texting yesterday about the fact that like there's a lot of darkness in the world, and like we don't need to get into it specifically because I'm not trying to like spiral
Mhm.
in the first podcast of the year.
Yeah, we don't want to end on that note.
No, but I want to flip it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I want to talk about a habit that like I don't have. This is not a New Year's resolution. This is just something I'm trying to do in my life. And it's this concept that was uh introduced by this woman named Dr. Barbara Fredrickson,
Mm.
who is a professor of psychology at UNC Chapel Hill. And the concept is called positivity resonance. And you could also call it trickle down positivity. And you could also call it like the value of just being a nice fucking person. Like
Mhm.
the concept is that if you co author micro moments as you go out through your day of positivity, and not
Mhm.
silly toxic positivity, but like, for instance, you go into a coffee shop and the person says, "What can I get you?" You look at them and you go, "Oh, hi, how are you?" Like, have manners, be nice, smile at people, say please, say thank you, ask how people are doing, ask a follow up question. I just I watched Marcelo Hernandez's
I did
stand up
too.
special.
I did too.
And the line where he's talking about like the ugly looking guy who's got the hot girlfriend, and the guy's like,
Yes.
"Man, he must have a lot of money." And Marcelo goes, "No, he must have follow up questions." It's so funny,
Because of
dude.
his ADHD, he's like, man, girls just want you to like listen to them
Listen,
and memorize all their girlfriends' names. Like that's
names right.
all they want.
So it's like, ask follow up questions, be interested in a person, and it doesn't take long. It's like 5 seconds a day here, 5 seconds a day, 5 seconds a day there. So like you might end up with like 30 seconds of a day. But the idea, the concept of positive resonance, positivity resonance, is that all of that kind of like echoes throughout the day. Because if you make someone smile a little bit, then they're going to be more inclined to make someone else smile a little bit as they go through their day. And that person's going to make someone smile a bit. And I know it sounds a little corny and I know it sounds a little cheesy, but I believe because I'm a person who very easily can live in the cynical and in the negative and in the dark and in the angry and the pissed off. But as I've been trying over the last month or so to be a better human being and just like focus on the positive. Look, we all are born with negativity bias. It protects us. Negativity
Right.
bias is hardwired into us to anticipate problems. But if we can balance the negativity with positivity and share that with each other, strangers, friends, family members, whatever, then it has this like positivity resonant effect on the globe. And I think we could use as much of that shit as we can get right now. So that's my thing, is like
It's quality
celebrate each
shit.
other's wins. Don't be competitive with your friends. Like, I hate that. Why are we competing? We are here to like champion each other and build each other up. So that's my thing. So positivity resonance. If you're going to build a creative habit, and if you're going to learn something about how to build habits, a good habit to build is like making the world a slightly nicer place.
Yeah. It starts with you. We're
No,
conditioned to live with our ego, like leading with the
totally.
thing that you're talking about, which is
Yep.
the thing that is the negative bias. It's not a bad thing. It shouldn't be
No,
demonized in any way. It's your brain is built that way to protect you
totally.
in a survival aspect. But
Yes.
living in survival mode was never the way we were created to be.
Right. Right.
But we act like we are.
Right. And we act like it's a zero-sum game. And so if someone has something and we don't have it, then we got to be mad about it. We got to feel
Then it's
bad
a
about
competition.
ourselves. Exactly.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so that, my friends, is what I got for you on this episode of Creative Bias Podcast. I think this has been a pretty good creative shouty.
I
Uh,
love a shouty. Shout.
you gotta love a
Yes.
shouty. Anything to close us out on, or are
I feel
we?
like that shouty was pretty good.
I feel like it was. Thank you guys for listening to the Creative Bias Podcast. We're going to drop one of these every Monday. And so make sure you subscribe to get a dose of creativity, positivity, and positive resonance in your ears every week. That was awkward, but you know.
Shouty.
Shouty.
Just
All
keep
right.
saying it.
Signing off from the Creative Bias Podcast, it's Steve Bonner.
And Darla Grilly.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.